just hand it over. All right, how you guys doing? Gordian. All right, name is Gary Bell. I'm the Assistant Procurement Officer for the Department of Procurement Services. I'm going to be giving you the first half of this presentation, which is on the bid programs and bid incentives that we have with the City of Chicago. All right. So the first incentive or program that we have was called the Small Business Initiative. Okay. I'm going to step over here. And what that is, we designed that was to allow for companies, smaller companies, to be able to bid solely within a particular threshold and dollar range. So the SBI 1, and I do have that here, there are, like I said, there are two ranges. One is the SBI 1. I have that here. Oh. Okay, here we go. All right. Make sure I have that correct. All right, sorry about that. All right. So, again, the SBI 1, that's for a project that ranges between $2 million and $3 million. And then they created a second one, SBI 2, which is for all projects under $2 million. So, like I said, only those companies with of the small business nature will be able to bid those type of projects. $2 million to $3 million. I have to answer those questions after. Okay, yeah. So, then again, SBI 2 is under $2 million. Then they came up with the mid-sized business program, and those projects, and I have that here, was from $3 million to $7 million. Okay. And the next program we're going to talk about is the Equal Employment Opportunity, then the Apprentice Utilization Bid Preference. Okay. So, as I mentioned earlier, that the programs for SBI is designed to encourage small businesses to participate in these city-funded construction projects. It is only for city-funded projects, no federal, state-funded projects, under $3 million, as I told you, those tiers. It is only for those businesses in the small local local 6 county businesses. And I mentioned there's 2 tiers. You have the SBI 1 and then SBI 2. Like I said, the mid-sized businesses were created because they wanted to be able to go out to a larger size of project. So as you see, they now created that, and that's between $3 million and $10 million. So what that does is prohibit companies that are bigger in nature from swapping up all of those type of projects. So to give the smaller companies a chance to win some of these awards. Okay? All right. The Equal Employment Opportunity Bid Incentive. Now this is available on all contracts that are over, for construction contract value at over $100,000. And like I said, this is designed to increase the utilization of minority and women journey workers, apprentices, and laborers. And we have this in actually all of our construction documents that are city funded. It's called our award criteria, and you must designate a percentage for your journey workers, apprentices, and laborers. So the key points, though, any bidder that's proposing to utilize those apprentices, laborers, or journey workers on a contract, you may apply for this incentive. All right. So the bidder must show his commitment to utilize the minority female workers or any of these categories by completing the canvassers formula or also the award criteria. This is in all of our construction projects over $100,000. All right. So the Apprentice Utilization Bid Incentive. All right, so this is designed as a incentive for a city contractor to utilize apprentices on construction projects. So what does the apprentice mean? Any person who is sponsored into an apprenticeship training program, enrolled or has graduated from a construction technology training program by the City of Chicago, City Colleges of Chicago, or is a graduate of a high school operated by Chicago Public Schools. So This is an opportunity for prime contractors to grab someone as an apprentice, and this way they can get a bid incentive off of their bid price, which in essence will lower their bid price and essentially will make them the low bidder in some cases. All right, as I mentioned earlier, these are all for contracts over $100,000, and it's an incentive for future contracts, and we have different tiers. You have a 5 to 10% work performed by apprentice results in a 0.5%. No, it's not a lot, but if you think about, say, a $50 million contract, that 0.5% does make a big difference. And 11 to 15% project area subcontract work results in a 1% bid incentive. Okay. All right. Oh, as quick as that may go, we're now turning over to the JOC group, who will be giving you the job order contracting. Okay. Oh, do you need this? Hold on. You gotta take this. Hold on. Pull all this out. It's already. Hello.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about the the job order contracting. Acronym is JOC. We're going to go over what JOC is. We're going to talk about how you bid as a prime contractor. We're going to talk about the JOC process, the benefits of job order contracting to prime contractors and subcontractors, key points, and then we're going to open a discussion at the end of the talk. So what is job order contracting? JOC is a part of a family of indefinite quantity contracts. JOC, WC, DOC, SABRE, IDOC, and IDQC. The federal government began using JOC in the mid-1980s as a delivery method for small to medium-sized construction work. The Gordian Group, who I work for, who administers the JOC program for the city, they were started in 1990, and they work with non-federal agencies such as the City of Chicago. Today, there are over 2,000 job order contracts that are used nationwide, and over $1.8 billion in construction ordered annually. Overview of job order contracting, again, JOC. JOC is basically a method of procurement for the city. It replaces other delivery methods. It doesn't replace other delivery methods. It's an alternative delivery method for the city to procure job order contracts. Some other delivery methods are traditional bids, term agreements, and in-house trades. Right here, you see a diagram that illustrates pretty much how the JOC program progresses. You identify a project. The joint scope meeting is done for a project. The contractor prepares the proposal. The proposal is reviewed. The PO is issued, and you start construction. Again, this is a method for the city to procure job orders and also get them done efficiently and quickly. So again, what is job order contracting? Job order contracting is a fixed firm, competitively bid, indefinite quantity delivery method designed to produce a large number of multi-traded repair and rehabilitation projects, as well as minor new construction projects quickly. In short, it's a method for the city to take care of a lot of small order contracts or maintenance contracts for public agencies such as for city departments or non-federal agencies such as public schools. So maintenance contracts for buildings, small other contracts that the city has to procure, JOC enables them to do that quickly and efficiently. Job order contracting is a firm fixed price. The construction task catalog, which the JOC contractor the JOC program uses pre-priced work tasks. So all of the work tasks that are in the catalog that the job orders are based on, these prices are already fixed and already set prior to you bidding on the job as a prime contractor or subcontractor. It's competitively bid. All bidders must submit a set of adjustment factors to the fixed prices in the construction task catalog. So as a prime contractor you're bidding on this job award, and you have to submit an adjustment factor, which is what your bid would be based on. So your adjustment factor will be based on prices in this construction task catalog. And each job order contract is an indefinite quantity. No projects are identified at the time of bidding. Contract is for a fixed term and has a potential maximum dollar value. Again, no projects are, once a prime contractor is awarded this contract, no projects are identified. It's for a fixed time and it's for an indefinite amount of job orders. So within a 2 to 3 year contract term, you can get an indefinite number of contracts within that term.
Can I ask questions?
Sure, at the end, sure. Once the master contract is awarded, job orders are issued for individual projects, potentially up to the maximum value of the contract. So again, each award for each job contract will be awarded to a prime contractor, but there are opportunities for subcontractors as well, in addition to prime contractors. As you can see on the screen, for prime contractors, the process goes as follows. The owner advertises the job order contract, the contractors submit bids, and the owner awards umbrella job order contract to the winning bid. Now for prime contractors, the benefit is a bit different. There will be possible opportunities to work under the prime contractor who is awarded that contract as a subcontractor. So for owner project A and owner project B, your responsibility would be to contact the winning prime contractor of that contract and see what opportunities they might have underneath that job, underneath each individual job. So here, as a prime contractor, again, you'll be bidding on that contract and you'll be awarded the contract. Right here, you see CDs. We're transitioning to an e-procurement method where all of the bidding process will be done on a cloud base, not so much on the hard copies and CDs. This is an example of the construction task catalog, that catalog I mentioned earlier, that all of the pre-priced tasks are based on. That's an example of what it looks like. That hundreds of thousands of tasks have already been pre-priced and based on localized numbers for the city of Chicago. So as a prime contractor or subcontractor, you pretty much know that if you have to build this room, the price of that door and installing that door or installing that gate for that window is already set in the CTC, and you would just be responsible for building the proposal based on that catalog. Each task has its own technical specification. So right here, I don't know if you can see, curbs, gutters, sidewalks, and driveways. It has a particular CSI number. That number also has a corresponding technical specification as to what that task is composed of. So if you have a task, going back to that example, if you have a task of installing that door under a CSI number, the tech specification would say that door is made out of such and such wood, birch, or what have you. The glass is made out of 2-inch thick tempered glass and so forth. Each task has its own set of specifications to drill down exactly what you're doing. So bidding as a prime contractor. When bidding as a prime contractor, you're bid is going to be based on the lowest award figure. And coming up with this, your adjustment factor or the winning award figure, there's a lot that goes into that. One would be you have to determine your direct costs. What most contractors or the common method would be is to take a common task, or let's say you're a roofer, you would take a typical or maybe a complex roofing job, build that job out based on the CTC, and determine what your adjustment factor might be based on those prices, and that will give you sort of an idea of where your adjustment factor might be based on a typical job. In determining your adjustment factor that you're going to be judged on, you also have to take into account your overhead costs and your profit expectations. So in addition to determining this adjustment factor, going back to that roofing job, not only do you have to pay for direct cost of paying your subs and buying materials, you're also going to have to take into account how much profit you're going to make and what overhead is necessary for your company. So whatever office expenses you might have, whatever company overhead costs you might have, you have to take that into account and add that to your overall costs and build that into that adjustment factor when bidding on that award, bidding on that contract. You're also going to bid on normal hours and other than normal hours based on prices quoted in the CTC. So basically that means if you have to, you're going to have different working hours based on when the job is going to take place. So when you're building that adjustment factor, you have to take into account how many working hours and how many normal working hours you're going to have and how many possible outside of normal working hours you might have. Exactly. And then lastly, specific EO commitments and determining the award criteria. For each award, there are specific EO commitments, MWBE goals and WBE goals that are built into each contract. So those commitments are also something you have to specify in your bid package. So as I just said, preferred method for analyzing the price in the CTC versus your cost. So as you can see, like that door example, select a comparable project from your files. Example, the project you selected, you were paid $82,323, and let's just say, let's go back to the roofing job. That roofing job, which would be a pretty high roof, well, depending on what the roof is, but $82,000 roofing job. Let's just say you were happy with that amount that you got. You were able to pay your subs, you were able to make some profit, you were able to also take care of all your overhead costs from that job, specifically to that job. You would build a price proposal from the CTC at a factor of 1.0, so that's basically no adjustment. Let's just say the price from the CTC, let's say you build that same job out in the CTC and it comes out to $75,746,000. If you were happy with that $82,000, but the CTC gave you an alternate number of $75,000, that means that the CTC, based on the prices in the CTC, it lowered that number. So you're going to have to adjust for that in that adjustment factor. So if 82,000 was 1.0, you would have to adjust up to account for the fact that the CTC brought that cost down for you to cover all of your necessary profit and overhead. So that adjustment factor would be 1.08. So 1.08 times 75,000 would take you up to that 83,000 that you're happy with. So when you're bidding on that contract, 1.8 would be the adjustment factor that you would bid, and there would be other factors bid against you, but you could be comfortable that that 1.8 would be a solid figure for you to, again, cover all of your costs and make a profit. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And it's important to, like the slide said, do an example project and really take into account all of your numbers and make sure you're taking everything into account, because it's going to give you a true picture about what your job would cost on the CTC.
One last question. The CTC is a book that Gordian sells, right? It is a catalog, like a construction catalog. I own one, but there is no general. We'll save questions towards. Okay.
And again, you want to do more than one project. One project might, it's not apples to apples. You want to do more than one project so you can get a clear picture of what that adjustment factor might be. And you also want to do projects of varying size. You want to do a low project and also a higher project so you get a really good idea of your costs with a higher, your sub costs or your profit costs with the higher project might be a little less than your profits with the lower project. So you want to, do the full spectrum so you get a good idea of what that, a clear, accurate adjustment factor might be for your business as a prime contractor. Tips for being a successful job contractor. Obviously, you want to bid correctly. You want to anticipate the type of work the city expects to complete using job. That's a way to explain that is JOC is used by city departments such as Department of Water, Fleet and Facility Management, I'm blanking out here, Department of Transportation. Each one of these departments have a different scope of work, so you want to anticipate what scope of work you're going to be bidding on. Obviously, work for CTC, work for Department of Water is going to be a lot different from work of Department of Transportation. Again, it says pretty much reiterating what we just talked about. You want to run sample projects, analyze the prices in the CTC versus your costs, and you also want to staff correctly. The best way to explain that is you want to take into account how much staff you anticipate on having per job. You might have more staff on one job than the other. So you want to probably bid on the higher, air caution on the higher side, just so you have a little cushion of how much staff you anticipate on having if awarded a contract. Again, JOC is a high volume of work, and it's a high volume of work. So, let's just say a contract is 2 years. In that 2 years, you want to make sure that you staff correctly and that that you've accounted for that in that adjustment factor. So if you are awarded the contract, you've taken that into account that you're going to have this amount of staff available for this amount of time. And again, that's just a summary of the JOC process. It starts with if awarded the contract and you're awarded a job order, you start with a joint scope meeting with the contractor and the department. They put in a request for the proposal for you as the contractor. You develop the proposal. That proposal, again, this is in that CTC. That proposal is reviewed, and then you issue the job order. And again, this just goes into more detail about that process. The department develops a scope of work and creates the job order in eGordian. eGordian is the company we work for, and we pretty much manage the software that runs the job process, that the city uses to run the job process. After the scope of work is developed, you notify the job contractor of the new project, and you forward the scope. You finalize any outstanding issues at the joint scope meeting. You develop the scope of work, and then there's a request for proposal. The contractor develops the proposal. the contractor's proposal is reviewed and approved, and you issued a lump sum blanket release on how much that job order is going to be. The benefits of the JOC process is this is a streamlined process, so it allows the city to do a large number of job orders in a quick amount of time, in a very quick, I'm not going to say quick pace, but at an efficient pace, and allows them to complete job orders quickly. Another huge thing to consider is that JOC is performance-based. A JOC contract is awarded for a specific term, could be 2 years, could be 5 years, and it's performance-based. So as throughout those 2 years, as you're being awarded contracts, a contractor is being basically judged on how you perform, how quickly do you get in job orders, are you responsive to the department, is the project on time, do you update the department on how the job's going, and obviously, was it on budget and was it on time? Again, a couple of things like I just talked about, a couple of things you're judged on: quality price proposals, timely price proposals, timely construction, quality construction, and then also have you met and exceeded those EOE goals that we talked about, MWBE and WBE, which again are part of each contract. So those have to be met based on the term of the contract. So benefits. So going back to that first slide, there are benefits for a prime contractor, there are benefits for a subcontractor. The benefits for a prime contractor is the job can obviously be profitable. You're working with you have the opportunity to work with a city department or a city agency. You're going to get a large volume of work. There's going to be a steady flow of work, and you don't have to worry about where the next project is coming from. Obviously, a long-term relationship with the city is beneficial. You'll be judged as a contractor. You'll be judged on during the term of that contract. So you want to have a non-adversarial relationship with the city and pretty much fulfill all of the obligations that you agree to in the contract. So maybe your contract could be renewed or and the contract continues. It's professionally rewarding. When working with the department, you can get very different types of projects of varying scope. Obviously, you're going to be obviously a general contractor is going to get awarded the contract, but as a GC, you will have the opportunity to get awarded multiple varying job orders, from replacing the gym floor to HVAC replacement to something as minor as painting a room. So that's another benefit to a general contractor. You won't be regulated to one specific area of construction. So in addition to the prime contractor's benefit, there are subcontractor benefits. No projects are identified at the time of bidding, so a prime contractor cannot staff up to self-perform. So that basically means, as a prime contractor, if you're awarded a contract with the Department of Transportation, and let's just say in your mind you have a record or history of having maybe 20 to 30 jobs a year. With the Department of Transportation, you might get 50 jobs a year. So there's no way to anticipate, because there are no jobs identified at the time of award. So there's no way to say, I'm going to need this many people for this amount of time. That's where the subcontractor's benefit comes in. As, let's just say, you get a high volume of work and you don't have the staff, you can't self-perform, and you don't have the staff to take care of these, to adequate to take care of these jobs, you have to subcontract that work out. So that's where a subcontractor, the onus would be on them to contact the prime contractor and identify where they might fit in with job orders, or where their specialty might fit in with that prime contractor, and what opportunities they might have. And again, as a subcontractor, it's the onus is on you to contact prime contractors and establish a relationship. That's really where the benefit lies for subcontractors, to let them know where a subcontractor, where your expertise would provide value for them with each contractor, whatever their specific scope is. Subcontractors are not bound to the prices in the CTC. And well, one other point, it's beneficial for subcontractors to be familiar with the JOC system. So when you do speak with, when you are trying to develop a relationship with the prime contractor, you have a leg up if you are able to, if you can say you've worked in a JOC program before, worked with the prime contractor before, you have some experience of building a proposal. All of that ties into how you would, relay your value to that prime contractor, primarily if you have experience with the program. And then just to review key points, we talked about the full procurement system. If you're awarded the contract, how that job order would progress up until you're issued the PO. The job program has benefits for the owner, obviously, prime contractors and subcontractors. It's a performance-based contracting system that determines the amount of work that has to be issued. And for subcontractors, be aware of the methods to submit the quote to the JOC prime contractor and be ready to perform at the highest level. So again, the JOC program is a great program for the city. It's a great program for prime contractors, and even a great program for subcontractors. It allows everyone to get a lot of work done and be beneficial for everyone. Getting involved. How do you get involved with the JOC program? You can analyze JOC programs in the Chicago area, any other areas you're willing to work. Important key is to identify what programs whose scope of work relates to your work. So as a subcontractor, if you focus on fire alarm systems or alarm systems, if that's your specialty, identify prime contractors who have previous job orders that have utilized that specialty, and let them know that that's a benefit you can provide to them. For prime contractors, analyze the prices in the CTC and develop accurate adjustment factors at the time of bidding. That's how they would get involved in the program, obviously submitting a bid for an award. And then for subcontractors, like I said, establish relationships with the prime contractors. Now, the departments I didn't mention earlier, Department of Fleet and Facility Management, Department of Aviation, Department of Planning and Development, Department of Transportation, they all have different disciplines. Office of Emergency Management obviously deals with would have totally different scopes for job orders than the Department of Aviation. So it would be on you to know the prime contractors for each one of these contractors and know how, as a subcontractor and a prime contractor, how your specialty would fit in. And again, there are other Chicagoland area JOC programs with these agencies: City Colleges of Chicago, Cook County, Chicago CHA, Chicago Public Schools, CTA. But everything we talked about today is specifically to the 7 city departments we just touched on earlier. To find out about current advertisements, this applies to all the city contracts we talked about. You can sign up for DPS alerts. So you can go to DPS website, you can sign up for alerts, and they will alert you when certain advertisements come up. You can go to the DPS website, that's the website right there. Look under bid proposal information and click on current bids and request for proposal, and that would give you an idea of what contractors are currently bidding and who to reach out to. And then you can also check the newspaper, the Chicago Sun-Times. And you have a couple contacts here. You have the City of Chicago contact, Mr. Byron Whitaker. You met Mr. Bell here. And then the job order, the Gordian Group who administers the job, administers the job program. The two contacts there would be Michael Batchman, my manager, Kahari Andrews, my name at the right, or Michael Judd right here, who's also my colleague. So I can open it up for questions. Anybody? I know a couple people had questions earlier.
Yeah.
Is there any place in any of this construction for non-union contractors?
No.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Gordian, they also make like, catalogs, no, that like describe like, estimate jobs and stuff like that. So, I'm going to, what is the CTC and what do I find that? The book?
Well, the CTC it's based on a nationally, well, it's based on a already predetermined set of construction tasks and construction prices. It's based on a prior book called R.S. Means.
RS Means, that's made by Gordian, correct? No?
It's owned by Gordian.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So, RS Means, you can buy an RS Means book through the RS Means website.
Right.
CTCs takes into account labor and equipment. RS Means is just material.
Right.
The CTC is very difficult to buy, and Gordian jacks their price up substantially to avoid people buying it, because there's been a lot of copyright issues in the past. So, if a subcontractor or a contractor wants to see a CTC, typically, once the city advertises a bid, you can download those documents through the procurement process. And in those documents, you'll find the CTC and specifications.
And that's where the alerts come in.
Okay, so you don't know it prior. So the time of the job posting, that's when you get the CTC.
Yep. We have two questions from the live stream. The first question is, what is the CTC? I believe you probably mentioned it, but can you just repeat it? And is JOC for union firms only?
CTC stands for Construction Task Catalog, and again, and the job orders are just for union firms.
And that's the same for the small business, or the small business, the SBI?
I would have to defer to.
That was the first part of.
Yeah, because like I say, it's a $25 farm.
So
Union
SBI,
firms, yeah.
SBI is also only union firms?
Yeah,
So the city does nothing for the small businesses that are not
I would say
enslaved?
that, we do work services and commodities, some type of contracts.
No, I'm
So-
talking about construction.
Construction, okay, yes, and that's 100,000 more, right, so, yes, I'll agree with you.
So even there's nothing that a city would do at the $25,000 or $50,000 or
Well, that's kind
contract?
of where they, because they do smaller type jobs,
But it's
but it's a
still,
bigger,
but it's still union?
it's still union,
Yeah.
yes.
That's it.
Okay, what happens with every union?
Everybody who wants to participate.
And this the job program?
If
In any
you're
program.
the primary.
Well,
So subs have to also have all union workers, or that's where the apprentices and the neighborhood people come in at, right? They can be hired, but the sub themselves must be union.
For the city of Chicago, subs must be union.
Okay.
There are agencies that outside of city of Chicago that we're not going to touch base on because this is a city outreach. There's other agencies like Hari in this slide that only pay prevailing wages. Union is not mandatory. So you want to do your research and look up those.
electronically, and so we missed it. But we also were told there's no way of telling when you'll ever have that opportunity again. The city doesn't announce it. So is that where these alerts would come in handy?
Absolutely.
Because you just don't know if or when they'll offer
Exactly.
a request for proposal to get back in it.
Right. It's a great tool for that.
Also, you would go to our outreach that Rodney is a part of, that we have 5 or 6 a year, plus all the sister agencies have, as a responsibility as you as a sub or prime to go to those, and that's where you will get a lot of information about upcoming projects.
Okay.
And our business, what's it called, bid opportunity list? We give a quarterly, like for being quarter 2 now, you will see upcoming projects that's coming down the pipeline, and then the 3rd and 4th quarter as well, so you can actually identify something that fits your scope of what you do, and then you can plan accordingly.
Okay, and this is not job.
This is,
When you were explaining about.
I'm talking about the city of Chicago opportunities
Yes,
as a big,
as a
or what we
whole.
do is procurement, yes. We put all of our projects in, departments give us in advance what they see coming down the pipeline for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th quarter.
Okay,
And we have a document somewhere that lists all of those opportunities.
okay.
So you as a vendor or sub prime, you would just look and say, oh, this meets what I want to do, and then you would,
So I could get that before I leave here, or you said we should be attending?
That's
So, are you registered for DPS alerts?
No, I just
Okay.
learned about this.
Yeah, so, there's a card out there. Sign up for DPS alerts, so every Monday we'll send out, an email that basically has the bid opportunity list that has the projects and contracts that are coming out. So you can download that, and it has our upcoming, outreach events and whatnot. And then, we have the buying plan as well. We're currently printing those right now, but it is available online. It's, when you go to our main webpage, there'll actually be a button right there that says buying plan. So that's what Gary's talking about. It's
Yes.
a 15-month forecast of all the projects that we're going to be putting out there, including 12 additional government agencies as well. So, yeah, so if you attend the vendor fair, you will have buying plans, like physical copies of the buying plan. But right now it is online, the 2Q.
Oh, is that the book with all the billions and millions of dollars worth of work that's
Yeah.
coming between now and
that's right.
the
Yeah,
next
so our
year or
most-
two, couple years?
Yes, our most recent
I
one.
had that book before, and I really want to get it again.
Yeah, well, if you come to the vendor fair, we'll
Okay,
have some.
okay. Then my last question was, can primary contractors sub out at any time during the program? So just say the job comes up for some CHA cleaning or CHA apartment maintenance or something. Will they have to already have their subs lined up? Like, that's what, how could we, you said to build a relationship with
Right.
primary, but you probably should have one prior to them bidding on things because they probably know who they're gonna sub out already.
yeah,
Sometimes.
Or can,
Yeah.
they can do it at any time,
They can do it at any time.
at any time?
So,
for,
so I would reach out to the contractors to tell them your availability and what you do. They may contact you for some numbers, and they may use your numbers for their bid, but then, once the process goes, they may just go with someone else. That's where subcontractors like you may come in line, and they may go back to you and say, we would like you on this project.
And we'll find out at the time they get the award. It would be a little difficult to, but then again, you just gotta start trying to keep the, I guess, the primary contractors and try to build those relationships. I'm being mentored by one right now, so I'm very hopeful that we're gonna do a lot of sub work from them. But I'm just thinking, like, if I wasn't, how do I approach one of these large Sterling Bay and tell them, hey,
Yep.
we want to be subbed on some of the things you're awarded? And the chances of them actually saying, okay, you small company that's never done this scope of work, well, we can put you on some painting or some drywall.
well, you know,
But the job program actually is supposed to train your people, right? That's to help
We
get
do.
your people experience and train your
Yep.
employees
Yep,
to become higher tier workers as they go through the program.
exactly. That's,
Yeah.
there are mentorship programs throughout the city. City of Chicago is not one of those.
Okay.
So would
you recommend the job driving program first before bidding on like major contracts? Is that like a good place to get your foot in the door?
Cause you got some money.
You should have overhead.
Pardon me, sir?
You should have plenty of overhead.
Okay.
Overhead and capacity within the company, if you're gonna maintain a job work contract, because like I already mentioned, we give 10, 15 projects at once, you're expected to perform all of them at the same time.
Okay. That's for high volume, like low
It's
staff.
Yeah.
for,
And you can't determine what you're gonna get
You don't
once you're
know.
accepted into the program.
Exactly.
Well, then again, you go by tiers, right? You have to tell them what tier you are when you apply.
tier is in the mentorship program and another job work contracting program.
Oh, maybe
They
I'm
don't
just
do-
thinking about the one that we filled out for CHA. That's
Yeah,
why
that's-
I'm kind of familiar with some of the stuff you're saying, but then this applies to the city as a whole on these
Yes.
multi-million-dollar projects that we will get rid of. Okay.
So where's a good place to get started then? Is that
Reaching out to prime contractors.
prime?
And even if they do start you off on smaller work, you know, maximize those expectations. And then they'll say, okay, they can handle that in a day, let's get them on something else. And then progressively work up. And once you believe you do have enough overhead, like if you can cover a bond for the requirements that the city of Chicago has,
Million to 2 million to 5 million to 10 million.
depends on the contract, then bid on that job contract.
And then, you know, another advantage you can control is, like you mentioned, getting a copy of the CTC and just saying you're familiar with it, because they have to build each proposal on the CTC. So any legwork you can do to, you know, lessen that burden on them, that gives you, you know, points, you know, on your column.